Hello and welcome back to our Zombie War series. This time we are going to implement spawners for the zombies and add invincibility frames for the player. So let's get going. Like the other times before, we are going to 1 second start on pistol as we need to draw our spawner or summoning circle, whatever you want to use. So again, let's draw it and then resume our episode. Okay, now that we have our spawner, we can export. Oh, that's wrong. Here, export it from physical and put it right here on our project in construct. And actually, I'm going to make multiple of these so we can have multiple points where we are going to spawn zombies. And again, we are going to rename it as spr underscore spawner. And yeah, now we can jump to the event sheet to make a logic for them. So that's actually quite easy to make the zombies spawn from the spawners, and actually I want to do it so that in every single spawner we'll randomly select a zombie that will spawn on that spawn point in any given time, and maybe let's do it like it will happen every 4 seconds, so the player has to kill all the zombies fast so that they don't outnumber him. So actually we need only one event for this, and for the events, well, we want to do it every 4 seconds, so we choose the every x seconds condition, and let's put it to the 4 seconds. And now the way we can choose or randomly choose zombie that we want to create is actually really easy with the families. We can just say create object and here choose the enemy's family. And here it will automatically randomly choose one member of this enemy's family and spawn it to the place we want it to spawn, which is spr spawner.x, not xd, x, and the y coordinate is of course spawner.y. And remember to have the layer 1 as our game layer is number 1. And now we can press done, and if we try to play the game, well, let's kill these first. Now we can see that only one of the spawners will spawn zombies, but as you can see it will change what kind of zombie will spawn from there. But it's really easy to make all of them work. We just have to add another event, not event, condition, and it's called for each. And what this will do is to repeat actions once for each instance of an object. So if we click this and choose the spawner, now it will run this action as many times as there are spawners in our layout. So in this case there are 4 spawners, so it will do it 4 times. And the good thing is that because here we are saying that we want to create the object in same place as the spawner, it will choose the spawner, different spawner every time for this argument also. So now we can try to play the game. And let's see. Okay. Oh, now we got 4 red zombies, but as you can see now, every one of them is working, and the kind of zombie will spawn will change every time, or change randomly. Oh, we died there. But yeah, that's all we need to do for the spawning enemies from these spawners. And the next thing we want to do is to add iframes for the player, so it doesn't happen like in this situation we die right away. We want to have few invincibility frames to prevent that. And we can do it by creating a global variable, which we will call iframe. And it will be Boolean type, and initial value is false. And we press OK. And next what we will do is to find where we calculate the damage for the player, which is right here. And here we are going to make a sub-event by pressing B. And here we choose this is Boolean set. And of course we choose iframe. And of course we want to do this when the iframe is false. So we need to press I to invert the condition. And then we just drag and drop the subtracting the HP from the player to here when we just do it only when the iframe is false. And of course, now that we take a hit, we need to change the iframe to be true, which we can do here, set Boolean action. Of course, it will give us the iframe because there aren't any other Booleans, and we want to be true. And now, let's say our iframes are 2 seconds long, so we can wait for 2 seconds. And finally, we change it back to false. Right here. Like this. Now we should have working iframes. We can check it by going here. Yeah, looks like we don't die right away. Well, now we died. But the thing is that the player can't see when the iframes are on and when they are off. And that's one thing we are going to implement next. And we can do it in multiple ways. One way would be to make an animation for it and let it play when the iframes are true. But that's quite a lot of work. But it would look really good because we can make it look whatever we want. But there is another easier way, or way that requires less work, and it's to use sign behavior on the player character. So if we go to the edit behaviors and add new behavior called sign, and you can see here the description says that adjust an object's position, size, angle, or other properties with an oscillating sine wave. If we add this, we can change some properties right here. But if you know what sine function or sine wave is, this should be quite easy to understand. But if not, it is basically a tool which will make a specific values go up and down on specific interval. Like if we look these parameters here, we can choose here what value we want to change. Well, if we have the horizontal movement, we can see here if we press preview that the player character will go left, right, and left on 4-second period. So if we would make this 2, it would go faster, and making 1, it will go even faster. So basically the period is the time what will it take to go from the starting position to the highest point, then back to the lowest point, and back to the starting position. And here is magnitude that we can change. If we make it 100, well, it will make bigger movement. But I think, well, let's keep it as 85. We don't want to just have a horizontal movement. The one we want is the opacity, which will make layer blink like this. And I think this is a really good way of indicating invincible frames for the player. But I think this is too slow still, so I think I make this 0.5 seconds. Now it looks better. And the magnitude of 85 is actually quite good. But here you can see if you make it like, let's say 50, it's really small difference as the opacity doesn't go to the max. But of course, if you make it 100, then it will disappear for a little while, as the opacity, which is the transparency of the character, will go to the 100, which is the max value, which means it's completely transparent. So that's why I think 85 will be fine. And one thing we need to change is the enabled, because we don't want it to be blinking when we start the game, as we shouldn't have the iframes on now when we start the game. And now we can take the preview off, and next we go to the event sheet to implement the blinking for the iframes. And we can do it quite easily. We just add a new event, we check if the iframes are on. It's boolean set iframe done. And here is one thing I want to do before we make the action, is to make this to trigger only once when it's true. So we make a sub event, and here add a condition which is called trigger once while true. So this will make it so that even if the iframes are true for long period of time, well, for us it's 2 seconds every time iframes are true, we still set the blinking on only once and not like every single frame of the game. So it's more efficient for the computer. So here, after the trigger once, we add an action. We choose the player and find the sign options, and here set enabled, and we set it enabled and press done. And now every time we take a hit, it should start blinking. Yeah, but the thing is that we don't set it off at all. So even though we are still blinking, we can still die, as our iframes went to false, but we didn't stop the blinking. And we can do it easily just by choosing the system is iframe condition and pressing X, which will make else statements. And here we also want to make it the trigger once, so we can copy this and set it here, delete that, and we can just change this to be disabled. And now we should have the blinking working the way we want. So if we take damage, we start blinking, and after around 2 seconds it stops. We take a hit again, we can walk straight through the zombies without taking a hit, and we should die the next time we hit the zombie. Yeah, so it works the way we want it. Great. I think that's all for this time, and I see you again in the next episode, where we are going to do something really fun, which is blowing up some barrels. So I'll see you then.